My Gavanen Melanine, and well met indeed. I am Arika Galajerthan, the head of the modding team behind Divide and Conquer. Welcome back to Divide and Conquer as we continue on as the Easterlings of Rhûn. And of course, not Bree. We're in with the Easterlings. Bree will be on the morrow, then something else, and then back to Rune, and then back to Bree. Standard week. Now, I must confess that with the... we're fighting another bridge battle, by the way. With the release of the Bree campaign and how much further along with version 2 that is than the Rune one, it makes me wish to play Bree. A problem that I also have now is that whilst we've... the team's very much back in swing at the moment, and we're looking at adding certain bits and bobs to the games, and it makes me want to start both campaigns again with all of the new stuff that we have already added since the start of the Rune and Bree campaigns. The terrain is totally different this time, and it has locked us out of our corner. Or has it? No, we can still go there. But how best to utilise our steep hill advantage? We've got even more troops this time. I'm wondering if this time... No, because of the trees and because of this terrible hill on the side, the bridge is actually a pretty naff place to try and fight, to be honest. So... going up to this hill behind is probably still a good idea. Or maybe just even this hill directly in front of it rather than the full hill. Let's go with that. But of course here we cannot line our archers up because of some hidden reason. There we go, they can get there. Alright, that gives them a high... But we don't have very many defensive... Why is the terrain suddenly different and I can't see where to place the troops as well? That's annoying. Very annoying. Crossbowmen. 3 units of... Now the crossbows we might try and run around, I think. So they'll start there, but then they'll move to the flanks and hit the enemy in the sides when they do reach us. Javelins! Now we've got a reasonable melee force. Stand a little further forward. Crossbows! That's why the bridge just seems like, with the amount of troops that we now have, even with the forest and with the lack of a hill, the bridge still feels like it would just be a point of we would massacre the enemy on the bridge. Just because they'd all group up, and with every arrow hitting them, every crossbow hitting them. But then once they break through, then it's all for naught. Whereas this hill here is undeniably useful, let's be honest. Stretch yourself out a bit further like that. Balkoth! Javelins! Right, so here's some interesting bits of modding information for you before we talk more about Rune and the campaign as the enemy crosses this bridge. Something that I will just put it onto ×1 so we don't miss anything. Something that I am very keen to do is been given all agreement from the modding team, and something that may well upset many of you or may well please many of you, and that is a change to the bodyguards. We nerfed cavalry bodyguards quite a long time ago. We made it so that it was very difficult to abuse them. However, we didn't do this well enough, and this is evidenced by my own campaigns, as somebody highlighted in the comments, and indeed I have thought in my own head, in that I can quite easily kill, say, 300-400 units with a cavalry bodyguard, a very average cavalry bodyguard, that has 20 men. Because cavalry is so OP in this game, full stop. And the fact that generals' bodyguards automatically replenish after every battle, it totally ruins any kind of mark of difficulty that the campaigns may have. But a general can win battles entirely on his own. So our counter to ensure that you still get the cavalry bodyguard that you want, so your general is still maneuverable, you can still flank the enemy well, you can run him away if you need to, but to ensure that the general can no longer win battles entirely on his own, my suggestion, which is, as I say, has been agreed by the team, is the following. What we're going to do is we're going to clone the horses that the general's bodyguards use. So every horse in the game has its mass stat associated with it, and the higher this stat, the deeper into the enemy lines the horse punches. So for example, the runic cataphractoi, or whatever the Greek is, the runic loc inas rim, will punch heavily into any enemy battalion because they have a very high mass stat. The Darwinian paladins are the same. Obviously, lesser horses have a lesser mass stat, but this can be fixed by, as I say, cloning this horse that the bodyguards use. Cloning is necessary, otherwise we're going to affect all cavalry. So basically we make a specific identical version of each horse that any cavalry bodyguard uses. And I'm basically going to quarter the mass stat, basically nullifying the mass stat. And the effect of this, of course, is apparent immediately. The cavalry bodyguards will no longer be able to decimate enemy battalions on the charge. It will arguably go to the point where cavalry bodyguards are actually verging on useless in the charge. And this is something that I do not mind. If you have played Shogun 2, for example, you will note that your cavalry bodyguard is very good if you flank the enemy, or if you attack the enemy in the back. And it's good in those situations to break the enemy morale, but it is actually a terrible weapon if you're just trying to kill enemies with the charge. And the one thing in Shogun 2 you absolutely cannot do is cycle charge your generals. Partially because of this very feature, where they don't punch deep enough into the enemy lines, but then also because Shogun 2's battle mechanics are a bit more advanced, and a lot more horses die in the charge. So essentially we're going to try and emulate Shogun 2 and have the bodyguards do virtually no damage. So they will be on the field to boost the morale of your team, because obviously, as I always go on about, merely having a named general on the field in Med 2 increases the morale of all of your forces and makes your whole army better. So generals will have more of a support role. But because they are still horses, they will still, of course, be able to chase down routing enemies. They'll be able to flank and attack from the back and do high morale shock damage, even if they may not actually do very much normal damage. And this is how we're going to resolve the problem, because it is a problem. And this isn't one of those things like the garrison script, where some people want it, some people don't want it. This is one of those things where we don't want it to be possible for a general with 20 men to kill over 500 just by cycle charging, because it's unrealistic, especially given how grounded Middle-earth is. This isn't some crazy fantasy place where like you get superhuman units. This isn't like Space Marines, where a single Space Marine could take down battalions of, say, Imperial Guard or something like that. This isn't that kind of universe. And even the elves, who have years and years and years to master their weapons, doesn't mean that they are not killed themselves. And it's that kind of thing we're trying to show, that there aren't superhuman units, there aren't boss units that will just take everyone on and never die. So we are going to reduce cavalry bodyguards. Now I know what you're thinking. You're going to say, hold on, Galu, but what about nations like Darwinian and like Rhûn, who have hard-hitting cavalry bodyguards? That's almost the point of their bodyguards. What I would say to you is, unfortunately, this brush approach is going to apply across the board. Every single mass stat, at the moment this is what I've got in my head, I haven't done the work yet, but obviously we'll play around with it, but it will need testing. But each mass stat is going to be quartered. So whatever the mass of the stat is at the moment, it's going to be a quarter of that when you come to play the game, or subject to testing and variation. So the cavalry bodyguards are going to be weakened, substantially weakened, which will hopefully mean that you can no longer abuse them. Now I appreciate for nations like, well, only for 4 nations really. Well, not 4, because for Khand it doesn't matter, because Khan's bodyguard is an archer, so you don't really use it for charging. But for Rohan, Dol Amroth, and Rhûn, that is a bit of a problem because obviously your bodyguards, you're a cavalry nation, your bodyguards should be very, very powerful, and I appreciate that, but unfortunately, owing to the nature of OP generals and cavalry in general, it's just going to be something we need to apply across the board. Otherwise, Dol Amroth would always be so OP.
Only half
now,
the enemy force remains. We must pray they lose their will to fight.
I'm hearing tales that Dol Amroth is actually now an incredibly difficult battle, a campaign to play. And if that truly is the case, then maybe on a case-by-case basis, we will review whether or not certain nations should have like useful bodyguards, because without them, the campaign becomes almost impossible. Now, I know, again, immediately you're all going to think, hang on, Galu, that sounds like you're just going to make sure that your favourite nation isn't ruined. And I assure you that if the Dol Amroth campaign is so easy it's just boring, I will make it hard. I like Dol Amroth as a nation, but that doesn't necessarily mean I want their campaign to be an absolute cakewalk. But if their campaign is impossible without strong bodyguards, then we'll review it. So that's the current goal moving forward. Apologies to those of you that don't like the mod talk, but I am the bloody mod leader, so I'm going to bloody well talk about it, pardon my French. Anyway, to return to our current battle, the enemy line is not doing too well. 64% of them have died, but we're losing more melee this time than we normally would. Lots of our archers have finished firing. No, actually only 2. Just want to pull them out of the way so that ideally I want the crossbows take so long to fire, they're so difficult to use. Oh, and they're wasting their shots against bloody 10 Thorn Guard. Yeah, that's useful. You'll be pleased to note that the introduction of the Bree campaign has not slowed down the turn times of the Rune campaign, which I'm very, very pleased with. And genuinely,
horns made of clay. We are winning the battle.
So much has changed for Bree already that I'm so tempted to start their campaign again, but I won't. I'm not going to do that. That's such a cop-out. Although I know I'm mostly here to try and show off features of the mod, and of course that would show off even more features of the mod, but I'm not going to resort to it. But,
the enemy's general lies dead. Now his men can sense their doom upon them.
Vidigild has fallen. Now, crossbowman, please tell me you're shooting that large Thorn battalion there. I wish I had cavalry. 1 unit of cavalry is all we need. Hold on. If everything is routed,
Four fights with horns made of clay.
What the bloody hell are we fighting against? Oh. Who are you? Thorn Riders coming back for a bit more. Rukar's just mingling with the Dorwin Rim. Some other little bits of modding info for you. Anything changed for Rune? Yes, for Rune, this is pertinent to Rune, so I feel like I can talk about it. After, obviously, my campaign and various testing campaigns from the diligent beta testers.
This is a most crushing victory. Your name will live in marble, and our foes in sand.
Oh, crossbowmen did get the most kills. Owing to our testing, it's become obviously very apparent, as I've said before, that Rune is actually still very easy. And whilst the Unite the Clan script has been met with overwhelming support, everybody likes the implementation of it and everyone has liked it, it hasn't made the campaign any harder. It's made the campaign a little bit longer, but it hasn't made it any harder. And this is a key issue, obviously. We want the campaign for Rune to actually be a challenge. And so, Orc Lover, a gentleman who I would suggest, and apologies Orc Lover if you don't feel like this, but I would suggest that he has very radical modding ideas. And so it's very useful having him in the team because it gives you a totally outside-the-box approach to certain things. And in this instance, there's something I actually fully agree with him on. Oh, West Osgiliath has been rebuilt. The Corsairs are in decline. The clans of Enid Wythe have been destroyed. My God. Is that Gondor going on an absolute rampage?
Yes, noble master.
But the thing that I've agreed with him with is an introduction to the Rune script that kind of puts you on a path to go a little bit more to war with Mordor than perhaps you might have done beforehand.
By your will.
Why am I sending him down there? Are we training things here?
Here.
Oh yeah, we're taking those two off your hands and you're getting some spearmen. Or if we train that, then we'll take the spearmen as well, actually. Sorry, it's been a while since I played the Rune one, so I'm a little bit out of it. But obviously, as Rune, our kind of aim is, because the campaign's very easy, we want you to kind of attack everyone. There are certain nations where attacking everyone, and not just your targets, is welcomed.
How may I serve?
These are predominantly Umbar and, of course, Enid Wythe, where you just attack everyone, literally everyone. But additionally, alongside that, are Cand and Rune. And so to enhance this attack everyone mentality with Rune, what Orkleather came up with, and to ensure that you aren't outrageously wealthy, because one of the key things that's making Rune still very easy is how unbelievably wealthy your nation is. So he came up with a nifty, I think we're at an end turn, so we'll end the turn. He came up with a nifty suggestion, and this is a tribute system. So of course Sauron subdued the men of Rhûn through... Oh, where the hell did he come from? Through guile and words. He went out into the east and he won them over their hearts and minds. He didn't beat them militarily. But enough time has passed and the wars with the free peoples is taking a bit of a toll on Sauron. And so he obviously requires money. So what he's basically extorting from the men of Rhûn is money as well as their forces. Ah, Calf just came of age. You might be able to head north and chase down... King Bloody Dane himself has come on his own. So, what an idiot. Go on, then get some step tribesmen. Let's send some men of Cand out onto the front. Take the back off this and that. We've got quite the army in our capital. And there we are. You've all trained here. I'm going to leave those. Dagan. Othelbed, how long will you hold out for? 4 turns. You're going to be ready in 1 turn. Your army's going to go through with Rokar, though, I think. I could really, really do with a single unit of cavalry, and I just haven't got any.
Yes.
Dagan, head up there to help Othelbed.
Set watch patrols. We rest here.
Calf, take that unit with you, use them as fodder.
We move at first light.
Ah, we have to attack. Captain Darim. Oh, he's got a lot. King's Crossbows, Mattock Warriors, 2 units of Dale Cav, Stonefoot, Dwarven, and Stiffbeard. I will control Khan Margos. Right, so Rune are very, very powerful. You're linked with Mordor. You're a single clan. Sauron, in this newer version, the courtesy of Orkleather, I've yet to pop it on this campaign script, but I will do, now asks for money. And every certain number of turns, it will be narrowed down and fine and worked out. I think at the moment it's once a year, so every 4 turns you are asked to pay Sauron a substantial amount of money. And of course this will mean that if you don't pay him, the alliance with Mordor will automatically break, and then you run the risk of being attacked by Mordor. Thus, essentially reflecting Mordor coming to re-subdue you, owing to your upstartism and the fact that you've stopped paying their money. So it's a simple little script, but it will just counter the fact that Rune are impossibly wealthy. So you can remain impossibly wealthy, but it will set you to war. I think it might actually just straight up set you to war, and if it doesn't, that's what I would suggest. So you can either stay with your vast sums of wealth and hope that your wealth will cover this high price Sauron is asking for, or you can say, no, I'm not going to pay you anymore, and just go to war with Mordor straight off. So these are now going to be your choices as a Rune leader. Additionally, of course, just to cover Rune a bit more, we are, of course, I've said of course so much, we are increasing the garrisons in the runic towns that you actually need. And this is very much a necessity, because at the moment you can absolutely cakewalk around Rhûn. It takes no time, no challenge, and you've united the clans before you know where you are. So the garrisons of the clans' towns will be larger. And the final thing is that to actually unite Rhûn is now going to require the 3 central regions of Dorwinion as well as the runic regions. So you are going to need Karasant, Strondost, and Sant-Anhui, the 3 Dorwinion regions. You will need all 3 of them before the Suryut send their chariots west and aid you. This obviously pushes the Suryut chariots back because they are apparently so overpowered it's just not fair when in the hands of a human. So it pushes them way back. You've essentially got to beat Dorwinion before they will join you, which feels more like an actual goal. You've achieved something. And it also just extends the script a little bit longer so that it's not an immediate victory kind of situation. Oh, there's Dale's cavalry charging in. Matic warriors. They're not upgraded yet, which is why they don't look like their portraits. But on the whole, it's actually been... Yeah, none of them are upgraded yet, so their portraits are all totally different. Although the Balkoth are going to get slaughtered over on that side. Right, cavalry, I'll use you. Margos has a very archer-heavy army, doesn't it?
With horns made of clay. We are winning the battle.
Pull them out. Oh, yeah, you can go that way. I'll use that. Go and get involved over there.
The enemy are badly bloodied.
Well done.
They have lost half their men.
I hit that cav. Yep, well done. Oh, dwarves running away. What a sight. Oh, I forgot to turn them off fire arrows. Why are they on fire arrows anyway? I don't... Doesn't seem to me like they'd need to be. You'll also be pleased to note that I've spoken with Sin of the Dark Cloud, I believe that's his name.
Victories are like sweet nectar. Come, let us drink of the most rare and glorious fruit.
Oh, hunters. Hunters. I spoke with the Sin of the Dark Cloud, and Reforged are happy for us to use any unit from Reforged that we wish. We just need to give them, obviously, a nod and say that we've taken it from them. And I narrowed it down to about 5 that I feel would have a home. Not necessarily exactly as the role they have in Reforged, but certainly their skin, their texture, their models. Now, of course, we have very few unit slots left, and we have to be outrageously picky with where and how we take units. But there are some that I think we could use. Right, what I'm going to do here is you are all going to come out. You 2 are going to remain. And you are all going to go and attack the dwarves. In their little tiny village. Let's shut down the attacks we're getting on these 2 towns. And in a single turn, an army will be ready that will push through with Lokkan Rukar, and we will take Karasant. Dorwinion's days are already numbered. Of course, once we hit the barracks event as well, we'll then be able to train the chariots, the Suryut. Can you get anything good? No, not really. What about Kavasar's roads, Strondos mines? Oh, that's good. But Monarchus, you're complete. And Mahath, you're going to be our chief enemy against Mordor pretty soon. But I will take a mining network for now. We'll keep trying to get economy buildings. Such good. There's Balkoth Spearmen. I really like them. I'm pleased that we added another unit there. And we continue. And then turn. I apologise as well. This introduction, the return to Rhûn has just been me talking about modding changes. But sometimes I go heavily on a single aspect. Very well. Vine Regent Howin, the Aged, comes with an army of Thorn units. And he attacks the town directly. Kabisar is trapped. Trapped. Oh, another thing that I'm thinking of doing is I've been asked quite a few modding relating questions, and I fear that my modding tutorials are either just not really known, or they're just not, they're a little too wide. So I may consider sort of shrinking them down to single topics. And by that I mean the key files that you use to edit the mod. I will do essentially a video for each file. Now, he doesn't really have any cavalry, so even if we have stakes, we can't really abuse it. Although I don't think we can. This is the first campaign where stakes... This is the first version 2 campaign, isn't it? So stakes are pretty much gone. So we can't do that anyway. Right, so how best to defend the walls? They're only going to come through the gate. They never use battering rams on the walls. The AI just never does it. So we're going to have to contend at the gate here. Or do we try and hold the square and shoot arrows down the main road? There's not much room for the troops to fire arrows, is there? We don't have very many non-cav options as well. Because the cavalry we will try and get out of the city straight away. Come on. Oh, for God's sake. Oh, it's because you're a horde version, aren't you? You're a horde cavalry unit. Take away the D. Stand in positions. There we go. We get them. Ah, there we are. Right, that's good enough. Righty-ho. So we are going to try and defend at the gate. Not directly in front of it, but I'll need to put them all here just to move them. Don't do that, don't do that. You're there. Don't do that, don't do that. Don't do that, and don't do that. And that's it, Jesus. No, who are you? Oh, those, yeah. Right, so... Get those all outside. Right, how are we gonna... We got 4 military, 4 melee and 3 ranged, so... But we don't want to... Oh, this is infuriating. It always has been and it always bloody will be. Anywhere I can place them? None at all, look at that. No matter how thin we try and make that line. There, we got it. We got it. Yeah, go like that. Go defensive. You men. Oh, for Christ's sake. How old is this game? Very old. You guys go like that. Right, an archer unit. Go there. An archer unit. Go here, please. Yes. Yeah, that'll do. And an archer unit, if possible, go down the middle. No, not possible. How about there? Nope. Having none of it. Not having a single day of it. Nowhere to place them. Surely you can at least go like 2 lines deep. Come on. Cut me some bloody slack. Right, you're just going to have to go here. Don't stand on top of each other though. Go there. Right, and we can begin. There we are. Into positions. We all outside? Yes, we are. The enemy is, in fact, moving to meet us. We've got the Thorn Guard lining up in front of the wall like they don't give a damn. Because they don't. The men with the ram have made it. Vineyard levies.
Great one, Those cursed vipers are at our gates with their ram!
I just realised these archers over here don't actually have a very good place to move. Oh, and I've ignored my cavalry, and they're all getting shot.
Victory is well within our grasp. In time, our foe will surely see this and lose heart.
Who was attacking them? Thorn Riders. You two can bring down those Thorn Riders, surely. Get them orders to flank.
The enemy's ram has breached our gates.
Archers, the time is now. Right, they'll deal with those Thorn Riders easily enough. You flank round there. Kabisar, come through to the middle. Marauders, come in.
Ill news comes unlooked for. The enemy have taken our walls.
I am very concerned that we won't win. I'm not going to lie to you. Our force is very cavalry based. And that doesn't help us at all. At least we killed whatever was out here. One Thorn Rider escaped. Marauders, how did you do? No, at least you got a charge in, but not a very good one. And our archers aren't really doing what we'd hope they would do. Oh, those archers, are they? They're just ploughing for the centre, aren't they? Pull yourselves back a bit. What are we on? 22 plays 12. I feel like we're going to get some good sort of ratios out here. Yeah, no, I still really don't like that horse. It is gonna change. If the Marauder rides that one, why would you not at least ride that one too? He's involved there. They've managed to like sort of scoot round. Just fire arrows at stuff. They're really, really, really pushing, aren't they? Look at that. Our arrows are raining in on them. Don't forget that the arcing shot still does do damage. It's just pitiful in comparison to a normal shot. But we've slaughtered whatever was outside, and we've got our cavalry archers out here firing into them. They have made it to the centre pretty much. We've got one more unit of thingies, of defenders.
Victory is
They're
well
paying
within
really
our
heavily for it,
enemy are
though.
badly bloodied. They have lost half their men.
But Howin really is just bloody ruining them. Oh, our cavalry's made it in and attacking from the back. So they're pushing for the square, but all the while they're doing that, they're dying. Kabisar, stay out here. You guys stay there. You've finished, have you, archers? Go and get involved. Have you finished? No, but you have. Get to the square. Go. I want you guys to do the same as well, to be honest. Archers, of course, not very good in melee, but if at this stage, a body in the way is a body in the way, so... And we've got to get people to the square because we're about to start the timer.
Our enemy has command of the city.
Oh, bugger, they're using it against us.
The enemy, the winds of fate have turned against us. The foe seems to be winning the battle.
Oh, they've lost the city. Oh, that's bloody Howin over there, though. We're never going to get him. You archers there. I want you to come. Can we not come from this side at all? Ah, oh, bloody rubbish town. Go for it. And how about what's pushing in from the back? I charged him in, but he's just run to his death, hasn't he? Whoops! Whoever that guy is about to die. Our archers probably won't win against Howin over there either. The High Paladins. See, this is where me reducing the stats, the bodyguard's like mass stat, in situations like this against the High Paladins, this is where it will have no effect. The mass stat doesn't apply in the actual battle. It doesn't really come into the equation when calculating melee, and High Paladins are outrageously good in melee against a crap unit like our archers. So they're going to do really well there. They're going to get a really high payoff. I wonder if I can get him out before he dies. Oh yeah, no, I totally can. Oh, well done, sir. Ah, perfect. Just get to the square, don't fight anything. There we are, just shut the timer down for now.
Curse the sun that shines on our disgrace. We must turn the wind of battle, or we will taste ashes instead of victory.
No, it's over. We aren't going to win. Kabisar is about to find death in this town. Let's try and get him.
Curses! Our enemy has command of the city.
Against the general. I thought we were doing so well, but Howin's presence is just turning Dorwinian's army from crap little militia into actual fighting force. And our army up the middle is never going to make it to the town centre in time. Most of them have pulled to the bloody square as well. He knows what he's doing, this AI. Oh, no, you were meant to get there to shut the timer down.
Curse the sun that shines on our
Kabisar.
disgrace.
Kabisar!
Or we will taste ashes instead of victory.
Dorwinian have this one. Dorwinian have this one. No two ways about it. Kabisar's not even going to die. He's going to be taken bloody prisoner and killed.
The opportunity for us to regain control of the city has almost vanished.
I do wish you could turn off the...
One which is sweet, and the other is bitter.
I'm not even going to check the stats. Well, no, I don't want to turn it off, because it is a sort of valid feature. If you can take the centre of the city, you can take the castle of the city, it's a valid thing to suggest then that the city basically has succumbed to your rule. People might rise up or whatever, but that's for months to come. But if there's a certain percentage of the enemy's fighting forces still alive, regardless of how many troops, where they are on the map, that should stop the timer from starting. The city is not going to fall if you have 1,000 men standing on the southern wall and the attack came from the northern wall, you know? You've still got to kill those 1,000 men. It doesn't matter that they're not near the centre. However, if you've taken a city by putting your 10,000 soldiers on the town square and there's 50 militia troops in the corner, you've taken the city. So there really should be a percentage thing. It should be like if 25% or less of the starting number of defenders are left alive, then the timer can begin. But unfortunately, it's a hard-coded feature. We can't edit it, and it will never be that way. So I'm all for them winning the town that way by taking the square and defeating my army, just holding me back. But only if a certain percentage of my force had died. And that's what I would like to change. But you can't do that. But anyway, the episode is going to end there, for it is lengthy indeed. And the next battle will again be Lokkan Rukar, again on that bridge. But hopefully for the last time, as reinforcements will be there in 2 turns and we will move on Karasant. Make no mistakes that just because Uthelbed has fallen to Dorwinian, we are far, far from having a kind of revival. Dorwinian are well and truly beaten. They simply have to learn it for themselves. But for now, that will end the episode. So thank you very much for watching, if indeed you have. I am Galadurthan. Feel free to pop any feedback, comments that you wish in the comment section down below. I do hope you've enjoyed today's episode of Rune, and you look forward to the changes in the upcoming in future. But until we speak again, dear friends, Navar Naden Pedimad Melonin, and farewell.